Good afternoon. It's Monday, October 12th, 2020, and I'll call this meeting of the EAF Board to order. It is now 1:37 p.m. Lorraine, if you could take the roll call, please.
Director DeAndrea.
Here.
Director Spada.
Here.
Director Underhill.
Here.
City Attorney Brown.
Here.
And Project Manager John Donikowski.
Here.
All right. So our first order of business is the approval of the minutes from our last meeting. I'm going to try and call up the agenda here while we're talking. Is everybody able to look at the minutes from the last time? Yes, just I'll pull those up.
Do you want me to pull them up, Maria?
Here, I'll go on the portal and just find them. Okay. All right, so here's the packet. We'll go down to the minutes from September 28th. So does anybody wish to make a motion?
I'll make
to
the
approve
motion.
the minutes? All right, I'll second that. And Lorraine, if you could take the vote, please.
Who was it that motioned?
Christina.
Okay, thank you. Director DeAndrea.
Yes.
Director Spada.
Yes.
And Director Underhill.
Yep.
All right, thank you. So our first item for consideration today is the landscaping and ground maintenance services vendor request. So I'll let John just briefly touch on this and go over the process that we covered.
Okay, good afternoon, everybody. Excuse my my hoarseness. So as Director DeAndrea alluded to, so we went and did an RFP, a former RFP last month. We solicited multiple bids. So by September 2020, so four proposals were received for landscaping, ground maintenance, and we evaluated and scored according to the 6 criteria. The company that received the best scores were TerraCare Associates, and we're anticipating the services and recommending the staff that we developed a not to exceed contract of $250,000 for next year. We did get multiple responses to that. There were four proposals that were, as you can see on the score, the average score. TerraCare by far exceeded the best score with, I believe there were 3 of us that scored independently from the findings of the proposals. So we're recommending to enter a contract with TerraCare for a 1-year term with an option of extending the contract for 2 additional 1-year periods. and this will be funded from the EAF fund.
So one of the changes we made for these new proposals is we included, right now we have 1-day porter, and we're including an additional half-day porter to keep up with all the tasks. So I think that's the biggest change from where we currently are to the next year, and that's reflected then in the totals. But we also did up the EAF budgeted amount. So we budgeted 270 and we're anticipating about 250 at the not to exceed.
So I have only one question. Looking at the vendor pricing and scoring, TerraCare Associates, their power washing came in at just over $1,500, and then the next closest was $7,900, then $10,000 from another company, and $15,000 from the fourth company. So that's a huge price differential there. I just want to make sure that $1,500 is going to get us what we're hoping it to get, especially since the prices are quite spread out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we were able to attain that pricing from TerraCare and revisited the pricing, and that's pretty much what their pricing is on that, what they're budgeting for. So
Okay.
So John, they feel comfortable that they can deliver what we're expecting for the $1,500?
yes.
Okay.
Okay, that was all.
Okay.
Hey, this is Maria. I have a question. So TerraCare is our current vendor, correct?
Yes.
And how do we feel they're, just kind of building on the question that Director Underhill just asked? I mean, how would we rate their services? Are we comfortable with their management? Are they responsive?
Yes, when I became involved in EAF back in May, excuse me, I had the opportunity to bring them in and kind of meet face to face with them, because there were struggles previous to my engagement in the EAF management, and I set expectations as far as constant communication. We're going to be doing like a 1-month check-in just to see how everything's going. But throughout my experience in working with TerraCare directly, I haven't had any heartache as far as them not responding to items of interest and things of that nature. So I'm very confident that we're going to be able to continue to steer them with an additional added day porter as well, just to make sure, because there's a lot of nooks and crannies throughout the EAF property.
Thank you.
All right. So if there's no further questions, I'd entertain a motion to recommend the contract. This will be going to City Council next Monday night on the 19th.
This is Director Sabata. I'll make a motion to approve the contract with TerraCare Associates.
Thank
I'll
you.
second that.
Thank you. All right, Lorraine, if you could take the roll.
Director DeAndrea,
Yes.
Director Sabota,
Yes.
Director Underhill.
Yes.
Great, thank you. And the next item up is our snow and ice control vendors. Again, I'll have John go over this briefly with our recommendation.
Thank you. So the RFP that we set for last September, we ended up including the snow and ice services as well. We are looking to recommend an amount not to exceed $280,000 for the funding of these services. So the EAF property we solicited back in September, we had four proposals. Again, staff members evaluated the proposals and scored them according to the 6 criteria. 3 of us independently scored them from the proposal and RFP summarizations. to which one major component that we changed this year in the proposal was, instead of the set hourly wage for the scope of services, we're trying something different. So instead of an hourly proposal, we requested for per push. And what per push ultimately means is the amount of monies that it will cost to do the snow removal at one given time, as far as the individual criteria. So example, we set up a scope of services for a 1/2 inch to 2 inches of snow, so on and so forth, 2 to 4 inches, 4 to 8 inches, so on and so forth. So we feel very confident in getting the pricing back with that the risk exposure falls on to the vendor, more so than it would be for the customer because of the per push. It'll be a lot more easier to track and manage invoices and things of that, instead of allocating staff to go out as they have in the past and counting heads as far as the amount of trucks, the amount of individuals removing the snow with shovels, so on and so forth.
And if you recall, we had a pretty heavy winter last year, and I ended up having to go back to council to increase our budget. So we are recommending a not to exceed 280. Last year, this is a little bit off, but we were over the amount of snowfall last year, and we ended up at about $330,000 for the year. So there, with the council memo, this is also going on October 19th, we are putting in the caveat that we'll be managing the contracts and managing also, but in terms, if we get an above normal kind of snowfall events, then we may have to come back to council and the EAF board for additional approval. But we plan to manage this much more closely than we have with, as John mentioned, with more risk on the contractor than on the city going forward. So with that, I'd entertain a motion to approve, or any further questions?
I'll make a motion to approve this contract for snow and ice removal services.
Thank you. I'll second.
Sorry, is muted.
That's all right. Any further discussion or questions? Okay. So if you could take the vote, Lorraine?
Director DeAndrea,
Yes.
Director Sabata,
Yes.
Director Underhill.
Yes.
Great, thank you. There's the contract. And then the final item, I'll scroll to that. Here we are. So in 2019, we issued a request for proposals for security services. And we went through the process similar to what John has described, where we evaluated those, a panel of staff, and we ended up going with Vets Securing America Corporation. And so similar to the other contracts, we had an option to extend that for 2 one-year periods. So we're recommending that we take that option to extend it an additional year. And so we've come up with a contract with VSA for this 2nd year of that based on those initial proposals. We have increased the dollar amount by 3.1%, which according to the contract was allowed per it was either a rate increase of, I believe it was 3.5%, or the consumer price index for the Denver, Aurora, Lakewood area, whichever was less. In this case, I did look that up, and the CPI was 3.1, so that's the % increase that we're going with. So the unit prices for straight time and premium time were increased from their proposal amount by that 3.1%, And you can see the estimated hours there for both at those new unit prices, which equals the new contract amount of $194,509.20. And you can see the previous contract was for $196,200. And I think it's a little bit less even with the rate increase because I think we had more hours under premium time. We just weren't sure exactly what that was to cover. And so we've just kind of made that a little bit more accurate this time and still left ourselves some room for times when we need 2 security guards present for whatever reason. Premium time also covers the holidays. We do have 10 holidays in there that are covered. So again, this item is going to council on the 19th and looking for approval to enter into a contract and make that recommendation to City Council.
I'll go ahead and make a motion
Okay,
for the recommendation to award the contract for unarmed site security services to VSA.
okay,
And I'll second.
thank you. Lorraine, if you could take the vote, please.
Director DeAndrea,
Yes.
Director Sabata,
Yes.
Director Underhill.
Great, thank you. And that's the end of our regular agenda. Are there any items from the committee to bring up? Any other new business to discuss?
I don't have anything.
I do not either.
All right, great. So we will adjourn the meeting at 1:55 p.m. Thank you.
Thank you.